Hello all, welcome back to my channel. My name is Marin. I'm so happy you're here. Today's video is going to be my 2025 series TBR. So let's go ahead and get into it. First, I'm going to go ahead and link you to my 2024 series recap up in the cards. This will take you through all of the series that I am currently in the middle of reading, and that is where I am drawing the series for this TBR from, obviously. So what I'm going to do is I am just going to go ahead and run through the 5 series that I am wanting to read in their entirety in 2025. I chose these series based on how long they have been on my TBR. 3 of the series I have actually started, 2 of them I have not. But they are the oldest series on my TBR, which is why I've gone ahead and gone with these series specifically. I also do have a goal to finish a lot of series, if possible, this year by reading final books in series, because I have a number of series on that series list that I linked where I only need to read 1 book. So if I can get that 1 book read this month, I will be crossing off an enormous amount of series, which will be very, very exciting. So I'm going to go ahead and take you through the official TBR first, and then I'm going to take you through the list of books that I would like to read if I can find the time. So here we go. The first series on my 2025 TBR has been on my want to read list since March of 2017, which is when I read the first book, which was The Unbecoming of Mara Dyer. This is the Mara Dyer series, which is written by Michelle Hodkin. There are 3 books in this series. We have The Unbecoming of Mara Dyer, The Evolution of Mara Dyer, and The Retribution of Mara Dyer. She has done a spin-off series, I don't know if there's more than 1, focusing on the male main character, but I am not putting those books on here. I just want to read the original 3. The Unbecoming of Mara Dyer will be a reread. I did read it in March of 2017, so this will be a reread, and then I will hopefully continue with the series, assuming that I still like the first book, because I am giving myself the ability to DNF if I decide I no longer like the first book enough to continue the series. So we'll see how this one goes. This one is probably my most iffy on this list because I only gave this 3 stars when I read it the first time. So we'll see. But yes, the Mara Dyer series by Michelle Hodkin is series number 1. Series number 2, I have much higher hopes for. It is the Queen's Thief series by Megan Whalen Turner. I first read the first book in this series, which was The Thief, way back in 2016. I then read the second book in the series, which is called The Queen's Thief, in 2019, and that is when I officially decided to continue with the series. So my date for this series is technically January 2019, which is when I read the second book and decided, yes, I did want to continue on with this series. Now, since I put this on my TBR, she has actually released 2 books. I think she did quite a bit of writing on this like during the COVID pandemic, so go her. But there are now 6 books in this series. So we have the Thief, which will be a reread. We have The Queen's Thief, which will be a reread. Then we have The King of Atolia, A Conspiracy of Kings, Thick as Thieves, and Return of the Thief. So 6 books in this series, but I really loved The Queen's Thief. The Thief was not spectacular. I think I gave it 3 stars, but I almost gave 5 stars to The Queen's Thief. So I'm very curious to reread this one and see if it still stands up, and then hopefully continue the series. The third series on this list is one of those series that I have actually not started yet, and that is The King of Scars duology by Leigh Bardugo. I put King of Scars on my want to read list in January of 2019, but I wanted to finish reading the Grishaverse before I started this one, and I did not finish Rune and Rising, I don't think, till like 2022. So yeah, so this one has been on my want to read list since January of 2019. I am a little nervous about this one because I know that some people have read it recently and it's not worked the best for them. I also do not have access to a free audiobook of these books, which is troublesome for me because I do rely heavily on audiobooks, and both of these books are fairly long, so we'll see how it goes. But book 1 is King of Scars, and then book 2 is Rule of Wolves. So those are on the TBR as the 3rd series. Hopefully I will enjoy them. We'll see how it goes. The 4th series is a series that I have started but not gotten past the 1st book. That is the Diviners series by Libba Bray. I read The Diviners, which is the 1st book in the series, back in January of 2019 and just never continued. So I will be rereading The Diviners and then reading Lair of Dreams before The Devil Breaks You and The King of Crows. That one I'm a little nervous about because I think it's got pretty low ratings, so I don't think people loved how this series ended, but we're gonna see how it goes. Again, the 1st book will be a reread, but I do want to finish the series in 2025. And the final series on my 2025 series TBR is the Villains Duology by V.E. Schwab. I actually own a box set of both books. I picked it up at the beginning of 2024 and just didn't get around to reading it. This has been on my TBR since August 2021. I have read quite a few of V.E. Schwab's books at this point in time. I've really liked some of them. I've not liked others as much, so we'll see where this one falls. I know that this series is more for like upper YA, I think, so we'll see how it goes, but I do own it, so I do want to get it read, and hopefully I will enjoy it. I really liked A Darker Shade of Magic and the subsequent books in that series, so hopefully I will enjoy the Villains Duology just as much. All right, that is the official 2025 series TBR, but I'm going to go ahead and list the other series where I only have 1 book left to read so that you have an idea of what I might also be trying to like squeeze in throughout the year. So all of these, well, I should say most of these are duologies, but there is 1 trilogy, I think, on here. And then I also have 2 books where I know there is going to be another book coming out, but it has not been written yet. So that's how this works. So the 1st book is The Testaments by Margaret Atwood. This is the sequel to The Handmaid's Tale, which I read years ago and just never finished the series, so I would love to finish this one this year. Then we have House of Roots and Ruin by Erin A. Craig. This is the sequel to House of Salt and Sorrows. The series name is Sisters of Salt. She has said she is going to write a 3rd book in this series, but it has not been written yet, so we don't have details on it, so I would really like to complete what's been written of this series, so I will be ready for any subsequent books that she decides to release. Next, I have Dark Corners by Megan Golden. This is the 2nd book in the Rachel Crawl series. This is another one. I don't know if she's going to write anymore, but if she does, I just want to be ready to go, so I would love to fit Dark Corners onto a TBR at some point this year. Then we have Iona, The Last Dragon Eye by Allison Goodman. I read Eon, which was the 1st book in this duology a couple of years ago. Didn't love it, but I own the sequel, so I want to go ahead and give it a read. It is chunky, and epic high fantasy is not typically something that I naturally gravitate towards, so this is not a series that is like up my alley, but I do want to go ahead and finish it just because I own it, and it would be nice to check this series off my TBR. Then we have Family of Liars by E. Lockhart. This is the sequel, or prequel rather, to We Were Liars, which I really loved. I do want to reread We Were Liars before I read Family of Liars, which is why I have not gotten around to it yet. I do own it. I just have not had a chance to reread the 1st book. So hopefully I can squeeze both of those in and get this series checked off. Then we have a series that I added in 2024 because it is the sequel to Wildwood Dancing by Juliette Marillier, which I just finished like a week or so ago and really enjoyed. The 2nd book is called Sibylle's Secret, and it focuses on a different sister than the 1st book. Wildwood Dancing was a fairy tale retelling. I don't know if the sequel is, but I would like to go ahead and check this series off. I've heard that people like the 2nd book even more than the 1st one, so we'll see what happens. The 7th book is the final book in a trilogy. The book is called About a Girl. It is by Sarah McCarry, and it is part of her Metamorphoses series. This is a trilogy that focuses on different Greek myths that are being like retold in a modern setting. I believe the first two books were set maybe in the 80s, and I don't know if this one is present time or not, but I personally really enjoyed the first two. I know they were not everyone's cup of tea, but they worked for me, so I am curious to go ahead and read book 3 and finish the series. Book 8 is another one that I know there are other books coming out, and in fact there is like a novella, if you will, for this coming out later this year, but that is A Day of Fallen Night by Samantha Shannon. This is the prequel to The Priory of the Orange Tree. It is her Roots of Chaos series. She has mentioned that she has plans to write several more books in this series. I believe there is at least a third full-length one that has been purchased by the publisher, but she wants to write another Bone Season book first before she starts on this Roots of Chaos book, but there is like a prequel coming out, which I'll put the name of right here because I can't remember what it's called. I have pre-ordered it because I really liked Priory of the Orange Tree. That one is more of a direct prequel to Priory than A Day of Fallen Night, which is set several hundred, possibly years in the past. But anyway, it's chunky. I really liked Priory of the Orange Tree though. I gave it 5 stars. So this one I have very high hopes for. It's just so ginormous. I haven't had a chance to read it yet. And the final book that I would love to read in 2025 to finish a series is The Ring of Solomon by Jonathan Stroud. This is a prequel to his Bartimaeus trilogy series, which I loved. And I'm looking forward to reading the prequel to check the series off. This one does not follow the same magician, obviously. It is a prequel, but Bartimaeus as a character is still the narrator, and he is a hoot. So I'm looking forward to reading this one. I think it's going to be a good time. I just haven't had a chance to get to it. So there you have it. That is my 2025 series TBR and an additional 9 books that I'm hoping to squeeze into my reading throughout the course of the next year. If you have read any of these series, please leave me your thoughts down below, non-spoilery of course. And otherwise, I will see you in my next video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please leave me a thumbs up. Consider subscribing to my channel if you would like to see more from me. If you made it to the end, you can go ahead and leave me a star emoji for no reason, just because I haven't done a star, I think, before on these videos. So yes, anyway, I will see you in my next video. Bye, everyone.